All right, guys, great job. You made it. We are there. I hope that wasn't too painful. Now things are going to start to get interesting. So here is the first block we're going to be building. It's just a basic block. It doesn't really do anything other than it shows up in the inserter library here. So if I search blocks and scroll on down, it's the basic block, and that's what we're going to be building. And something you might want to take note of as we're going through this lesson is where you can find out more information about this. If you go over to the Gutenberg handbook, they've got all kinds of great documentation on especially this first step right here, enqueuing block scripts, and you can just walk through and get some more details on that. And then I've also included a link in the notes for the GitHub repository for the Gutenberg editor. So this is, I find it a lot better than the handbook because it's the most up-to-date. It's where all the active development's going on. And you can find out some of the nitty-gritty details, like we'll be using like WP blocks and WP element dependencies, and it gives you a lot of those details where, as in the handbook, it's not quite up-to-date as of now. So why don't we go get started and start building this block? So pull up your text editor, and we just created this blockexamples.php file. Now we're going to create a new directory, and this directory is going to be the name of this first block we're building. So let's, in this block examples plugin directory, let's make a directory called O1 basic block. And I'm naming it O1 just so we can see the blocks in order in our file, in our folder here. Okay. And then within that folder, within that directory, we need to create another file, and this is going to be the file where we enqueue all of the scripts for the styles and then for any functionality that we need. So let's create a file called index.php. So touch to create a file, index.php. And oops, I keep making this mistake. Remove index.php, and let's go into that newly created directory, O1 basic block, and then let's create that index.php file now. Okay, so I'm going to close this out, and you should have a file structure like this: block examples, O1 basic block, index.php. All right, and so the first thing we need to do to enqueue our scripts is open a PHP tag, and then let's use that defined abs path again. So if somehow somebody gets to this directly, it kicks them out. All right, and then I'm just going to lay out the skeleton of what we need to do. So we need to add a hook here to enqueue the block assets. And that'll look something like this. Enqueue block editor assets. And then we're going to have a link. In the second argument, it takes the name of our function we're going to create. So I'm going to hold off on that for a second. And so then the function, we need to create a function here, and we can name it whatever we want, but the name we use here is the name we have to use here. And I like to use a common structure for everything whenever I can. So I'm going to use the plugin name, and then the block name, and then the function name. So it's just like building a little puzzle here. Okay, and then so function, our plugin name is called block examples. And then the block name is going to be O1 basic block. And then this action is enqueue block editor assets. Okay. And then open closing tag. And then within this, we're going to place our WP enqueue script. And it takes 4 arguments. And those are the name of the script, the full URL of where the script is located, the dependencies this script needs, and then finally the script version number. Okay, so for the name of the script, I'm going to follow a naming convention of plugin name. So block examples is our plugin name, and then follow that by the block name, 01 basic block, and then we'll need a comma. And for the full URL of the script, we'll need the plugins URL. So this will go out and grab us the file path to this. And the file name we're going to be using is going to be called block.build.js. And we're going to circle back around to this file name. We're not going to actually create this file. The Node.js and NPM package control is Webpack, all these tooling that we put in place is going to generate this file called block.build.js. And so when we create our Webpack and package.json files, we're going to be referencing this block.build.js file, where you won't actually ever create this file. So if that doesn't make sense, it will in a little bit. So just hang tough with me. And then to this file here. Okay, and then dependencies this script needs is array, okay? It's an array of dependencies. It needs the WP blocks script. And I found this in the Gutenberg repository on GitHub in their documentation, and then it's also in that handbook as well. There's all these little scripts that you have access to and we're going to need to build our blocks. And then WP I18N is the internationalization functionality. And then finally, WP element. And we're going to go into these in more detail as we go. And there's some other different dependencies that we're going to need as well. But for now, this is all we need. And then finally, the script version number. Plugin. And then this file. And so I use this file mtime, so it basically busts the cache. So every time we save a new file, it'll generate a new version number for us. So then we'll always have the most recent file there. So that is it for this step. We're ready to go. In future steps, there's going to be some more styles that we need to enqueue and scripts that we need to enqueue as well. It looks like, and I'm looking at this right now, it looks like I misspelled this. So make sure, I always have a hard time spelling enqueue. There we go. And I'm sure it would yell at us either way. But yeah, in the future steps, you're going to see the pattern that we're going to develop over time. So I'm going to try to do this in such a way that it's a simple pattern and we're basically just filling in the blanks as we go. So I'll see you in the next step where we create the block file and we register the block type.